Morning, Glory America. Bonjour. Hi, Canada. I'm Hugh Hewitt from Studio North. It's Election Day in New York, and it's Election Day in the Sunshine State in Florida. Representative Scott Franklin is a favorite of our show, joins us now. Graduate of the United States Naval Academy in 1986, an aviator for the Navy for 26 years, successful businessman. Put that all aside and ran for Congress, does an amazing job. Scott Franklin, welcome back to the Hugh Hewitt Show. I think you've got a new district, don't you? You used to represent the 15th, but now you're going to be the 18th?
Yes, that's true. Good morning, Hugh. Always good to be with you. We recently got our maps pretty late in the cycle, and things have shifted a lot. So I was in Florida 15, and now where I live is in Florida 18. So I always think it's important to represent the folks where you live, and I'm excited for the chance to do it.
Let's just remind people where the 18th covers. I know it's got Lakeland, but the rest of the cities in the 18th so people can remember to get out and vote for Scott Franklin this morning.
Sure. Florida 18 now is the heartland of Florida, basically from I-4, Central Florida, all the way down almost to the Everglades. So it's an 8-county district that's pretty much the all-southern interior of Florida except for the saltwater counties. And it's the largest agricultural district east of the Mississippi now.
Oh, my goodness. So you got to know ag. Which committees are you on, Scott?
I'm currently on Oversight and Armed Forces.
I knew you were on Armed Forces. I hope someday they're going to put you on ag. That's a big ag district. So, Scott, people now refer to the free state of Florida, and I talk about the Florida difference. Why has Florida gone red, and why is it going to stay red?
Well, it's a state that believes in our fundamental freedoms. I used to tell people when I was serving in the military that I'd consider my overseas deployments as my America appreciation tours. And now when I go back and forth from Florida to D.C., I consider those my Florida appreciation tours. And we respect the rule of law, our constitutional rights, and things that ought to be a no-brainer, but sadly are not the case in so many parts of the country. But our governor gets it, our legislature gets it, and that's why I think we're seeing people move to Florida in droves for more than just the low taxes and the good weather. It's a state of mind here in Florida.
You know, Scott, I was with Leader McCarthy last week, and I talked to 13 would-be colleagues of yours. They're all running for the first time, or Wesley Hunt's the second time. And from that takeaway, 6 issues dominate: affordability, anxiety, and anger. Anger mostly about Afghanistan, but also the open border, energy, right. Gas prices, of course, ESG. They don't like this leftist agenda stuff. And then really education. How do those 6 match up with what you're hearing from voters in the new 18th?
It is what we're hearing. But, first and foremost, it's kind of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you don't have food in your belly and a roof over your head, nothing else matters. Yep. All of these things are critical. But, first, this is a gas and groceries and rent election this time. And then beyond that, all of those other issues you cited are significant. And that's why when we take the majority back in January, we're going to show up in January ready to legislate. And we've got task forces that have been hard at work for the last couple of years. And we've got plenty of good legislation that's going to address every one of those topics you've talked about. The key is going to be whether we can get those passed. We'll get them through the House and hopefully the Senate. We'll see how all that shakes out. But realistically, and it's kind of tempering expectations, we can put a tourniquet on the bad policy that's been coming out. It's going to be hard to get ours implemented as long as Joe Biden's in the White House with veto power.
And what's most important for people to understand is if both the House and the Senate become Republican, the Congressional Review Act kicks in. And the CRA allows the worst regulations out there to be overturned and forever forbidden from traipsing around by leftists in agenda clothing. And I know in the Oversight Committee, you'll know all about the CRA.
We do, and also, one of the things that people have forgotten that was one of the great policies that President Trump had implemented was reducing bureaucratic overreach and regulatory burden. He put that through an executive order to eliminate bureaucracy, and anytime we're putting something new in effect. I've attempted in this Congress to codify that into law. We have our curb act, cutting unnecessary regulatory burden, and we would want to take that Trump principle of eliminating 2 pieces of bureaucratic red tape for everything we introduce. That's one of the things we'll drop first day in the next Congress.
So, Scott Franklin, on armed services, obviously you've got the 360-degree view of the American military. As Ukraine becomes what is basically an extension of the Second World War and an infantry artillery battle, how are you making the arguments to keep the Navy strong when all of a sudden we see infantry with manpads doing all the hard work in Ukraine?
Well, the Navy has always been critical and will continue to be, and not just it's critical in the Black Sea area of the Mediterranean, but also in the South China Sea. And for those who, I get it, we have a lot of folks who are concerned about the inflation at home and the amount of money we're spending in Ukraine. We've got to walk and chew gum at the same time, but also events in Ukraine don't happen in a vacuum, because those are very intricately connected to things that are happening with China. You can bet the CCP and Xi are watching everything in Ukraine with eyes on Taiwan. So, and the Navy plays a very critical role in the South Pacific for sure.
Now, Scott Franklin, I want to end by talking about what Governor DeSantis did this week. He's talking about school board elections. Pretty unusual for governors to be talking about school board elections, but in fact, this has become a hot item for everybody. They have looked inside the classroom via the Zoom education, if we want to call it that, in the last 2 years, and they did not like what they see. And I've been telling everyone, if you are not absolutely rock solid certain that your school board member is anti-mandatory masking and absolutely opposed to CRT in the classroom, or teachers who are CRT ideologues, not teaching CRT but speaking it into being, don't vote for him. Is that? Do you see school board races being fought on the ground in the new district?
Those are some of our most highly watched races in this cycle, and I think that if there's a silver lining at all to COVID, it's that parents finally got an opportunity to see what was happening in the classrooms. Those are hard fought battles now, and parents know it's not just what's at the top of the ticket. It's every single race all the way down the line that matters, and it starts with with our school board. And we say that our children are our future. We got to put our money where our mouth is and make sure we've got the right people making those leadership decisions for them.
Do you think the House majority will do anything to support school choice? Arizona is now leading the way, Florida in second place. Texas is sort of recalcitrant in joining the school choice revolution. Is there anything that the feds can do on this, or can they at least stop the Department of Education from doing more damage?
I'm looking forward to Republicans have. That's one of the areas I'm looking forward to us having the majority over, to be able to put our stamp on that. And yes, I think there's a lot that we can do at the federal level. Education is still fundamentally a local issue. It's local and state, but where the feds can help, we need to. We certainly don't need to be a hindrance.
Last question, Scott Frank. I know I talked to Mark Molinaro about this up in upstate New York. He's on the ballot today. How do you spend Election Day? It's the longest day for candidates and their families.
I'm always sure we're at the polls as soon as they open. So I've already voted this morning. Ours opened at 7, and I just wave signs. We've got volunteers throughout our district, which now is huge. But I try to get around, and while they're waving signs, and I'm out there with them, supporting them, and we'll get ready to have a celebratory party tonight. So it's not just our Election Day; it's also my birthday today. So I'm very excited for.
That's kind of fun. Happy birthday, Scott Franklin. Great to have you on. And again, thanks for joining me this morning. I know on Election Day, trying to get candidates away from the polls is difficult, but I appreciate it. Scott Franklin, great congressman. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Hugh. Have a great one.